Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing the new Trial of the Grasses seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which whenever we play a unit, it will get damaged by 2, then boosted by 4, unless it's a Witcher, in which case it will get boosted by 4 without taking the damage. Normally that means this is the Witcher's event, except today we're going to be using a non-Witcher's deck because it can score an infinite number of points. Yeah, you heard me right. Let's go check it out. So today we'll be playing a Syndicate Jackpot deck that has an amazing combo that can generate an infinite number of coins, and by extension, an infinite number of points. The key to the combo is using the Firesworn Scribes because they will give us 1 coin every time we spawn in a unit, so if we get enough of these scribes, then we can get a sustainable source of coin generation. Then Grand Inquisitor Helveed can spend 2 coins to spawn in a Firesworn Zealot, and because this spawns a unit, that means those scribes will generate a coin whenever we do this, so if we have at least 2 scribes, then that means that we are at least getting back the amount of coins that we spent, if not actually gaining coins every time we use this ability. And the reason why this ability is so much stronger in this event is because since the Firesworn Zealots are not Witchers, that means they will get damaged by 2 whenever they get spawned, and because they only have 2 power, that means they will immediately get destroyed whenever they get spawned. And that's actually a good thing because it means we can use this ability however many times we'd like without running out of board space, which is what would usually happen in other events. So that means if we have at least 2 scribes, the only thing limiting how many times we can use this order is our turn timer and how quickly we can click this button. And that's significant because if we have a Townsfolk on the board when we do that, we will gain 2 points every time we use that order ability, because every time we do, the Firesworn Scribes are giving us coins. Similarly, every time we use that ability, the Eternal Fire Priest will get boosted by 1 because we're spawning in a unit. And even the scribes themselves can get boosted because if we have 3 or more of them on the board when we use Helveed's order, then that means that on net we are gaining coins, and eventually we will reach our coin cap of 9, after which point our leader ability will boost whatever unit is over-generating coins, which means the scribes will get boosted. So add all of those things together, and it quite literally means that we have an infinite source of coins and an infinite source of points. Then throw in cards like Igor the Hook, which, if we have at least 5 coins, can spawn in additional Firesworn Scribes, or we could use it for an additional Townsfolk, or an additional Eternal Fire Priest. We have Operator that can create an additional copy of the Scribes. And then as an alternative to Helveed, we also have Cleaver, who after spending 4 coins can spawn in a Cleaver's Muscle. Now, unlike the Firesworn Zealots that Helveed spawns, Cleaver's Muscle will survive the damage from Trial of the Grasses because it has a shield, so that means those Cleaver's Muscles will take up board space, but they will also get boosted from Trial of the Grasses, turning them into 9-point units apiece. The one issue with Cleaver is that because he starts with just 1 base power, if we play him, he will get destroyed by Trial of the Grasses, unless we use an Iron Falcon Troubadour on Cleaver while Cleaver is in our hand to give him additional armor. That way he can tank the 2 damage from Trial of the Grasses, get boosted by 4 from Trial of the Grasses, and at which point he can actually stay on the board, use his deploy ability, and spawn in those Cleaver's Muscles. So those are all the big combos in the deck, but now I'll flip through just to show you what else we have. And Renew is largely here for Igor, but it could also give us one of the other cards we'll talk about in just a second. Alzur's Double Cross gives us either Helveed or Igor, 2 of our best cards. Necromancy is primarily to get back one of the scribes. And Freak Show is the other card we could consider getting back with Renew, because most of the other cards that work with our combo get boosted, whereas Freak Show with infinite coins can give us infinite damage, which is a little bit slower to do because it requires clicking on multiple different cards rather than just clicking on the same card over and over again. But it is technically a little bit more effective because it is less susceptible to our opponents using something like Geralt of Rivia, Geralt Igni, or Geralt Jurden. Then we do also have the Wolf School Trio, which of course give us some thinning, and because they are Witchers, does give us a fair number of points. And then the Megascope is another way to spawn in primarily the scribes. And then the Tax Collector is an alternative source of coins in case you don't have enough to get the combos started. And then lastly, I threw in a Scapegoat because it gives us a lot of coins directly, and then because it's 1 power and it's not a Witcher, it gets destroyed by Trial of the Grasses immediately, so you actually don't give your opponent a unit, and you also immediately trigger the bounty, giving yourself 1 additional coin, which means that functionally in this event, Scapegoat is the same as Pickpocket, giving you another quick source of coins. So there's a look at the deck, and like I said, it has an infinite source of coin generation, which means we have an infinite source of point generation. So I am extremely excited to try this out, and if you play it yourself, let me know how many points you score. Now let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against Northern Realms here, and we'll go first. Okay, so we have 2 members of the Wolf School Trio, so let's get rid of one of them. Let's get rid of the other one of them. Then we have Cleaver, but if we want to play him, we need a Troubadour to give him additional armor, otherwise he will get destroyed by Trial of the Grasses. So I think because we have 2 Townsfolk, let's get rid of one of those. And let's actually begin by going with the Operator here to spawn in a Firesworn Scribe. And they'll go with the Griffin Witcher, so, I mean, we probably imagine they're going to have a bunch of Griffin Witchers. That is likely their deck. So now let's use the Megascope to set up an additional Firesworn Scribe. And we're going to try to get several of these, ideally without actually playing the original Firesworn Scribe from our hand. That way we can save this for round 3. They'll go with a Fortune Teller and give, Veil to their Griffin Witcher, which means if this round goes long enough for that Adrenaline 3 to kick in, it will deal a lot of damage every turn. Okay, so now let's use our Cursed Scroll to get Oneiromancy. And although Eternal Fire Priest is useful for our big round 3 combo, we'd like to save that combo, so I think we'll get rid of you and use Oneiromancy to give us a Troubadour. That way we can give Cleaver some armor. And we'll spawn in this Firesworn Scribe and get a little bit of coins in the process. Okay, then they're going Oneiromancy into Amphibious Assault, with which they'll get another Griffin Witcher, so I'm thinking this is very much the theme they're going for. They're going to try to get as many of these Griffin Witchers out here as possible, give, ideally, all of them Veil, so that none of them get locked at Adrenaline 3, so they deal a ton of damage. So we want to make sure that we keep this round short enough that that does not become an issue. So now we can play Cleaver. He will survive because he has the armor. Then we'll use Shakedown on Cleaver, give him a boost, and get 3 coins. But before we use his ability here, we'll end our turn because we want to get Igor down here, because we'd love if we could get enough Firesworn Scribes so that we could sustain spawning in as many Cleaver's muscles as we'd like. And there is the other source of Veil, so yes, that is absolutely what they're trying to do. But now we go with Igor, and we use him to spawn in another Firesworn Scribe. And they are close to taking this one out. It just needs to survive one more turn. And it looks like it will. Because now what we'll do is we'll use Igor's ability to create another Firesworn Scribe, and because we don't have enough coins, it will trigger his Insanity, but we get a bunch of coins now from all these Firesworn Scribes, which means we can use Cleaver to spawn in Cleaver's Muscle and fill this entire row with them, because we have enough coins to sustain this. Oh, and then technically I meant to use the Townsfolk first to give us some more coins when we did that, but we'll be fine. Don't worry about it. I'm pretty sure we will have enough points here unless they Yrden or Igni this melee row. Okay, Keldar is amazing in this event, but we are going to pass here because we do not want for their Griffin Witchers to start dealing a bunch of damage. If they play one more card, they will, however. So they are going to try to push, but I don't know how quickly they'll manage to catch up to us. Okay, well, Yrden certainly helps. It's not enough by itself, although with the extra damage from those Griffin Witchers, it is. But in doing so, we bled out their best way of shutting down our combos. Okay, so they may have won round 1, but they played one more card than we did, and we got rid of their Yrden, which would have been their best way of reversing our Helveed infinite money, infinite point combo. So I think that means we're just looking for a throwaway card here, and we could get one with Oneiromancy, although that's perhaps not the route we'd like to take. Scapegoat does give us a lot of coins, but it doesn't give us any points directly, so I think we dump you. And Townsfolk is a card we'd like to keep, to tell you the truth. So maybe we swap you out, and Tax Collector is actually perfect if they are going to try pass. They do not. That catches me a little bit by surprise here. Not sure how much they're really trying to push in round 2, or if that was just a quick point slam to see if they could outpace us. But I think either way, let's start with the Tax Collector, because that way we can still generate some points here. It is not enough points for us to catch them in one turn, but I don't really think we had many ways of doing that no matter what. Then they're going Renew. Into Keldar. Okay, they're pushing hard. So I think in that case, what we do here is we go Freak Show. And we hit Keldar. And we use our leader ability. And sure, we'll boost Freak Show a tiny bit in the process. And we just make sure that we remove Keldar, because otherwise he was going to continue to spawn out a 6-point Witcher student every turn. And that would have added up to be a whole lot. See, and they are still in the lead right now, so I guess I'll hit them a little bit more. They will pass. Okay, so yeah, I think their plan was just to surprise us with a quick Keldar there and see if we had a way to answer it. Fortunately, we did. It did require that we use our leader ability, and now we're just looking for a throwaway of some variety. And we could get the Thinning with Vesemir, but he is also a pretty solid point slam, so I'm a little reluctant to go that route. I guess we will, though. Obviously, it's more than enough to get the job done. So that means we'll take the round 2 win. Okay, so now what we're looking for in round 3 is to have at least 2 Firesworn Scribes. That way, when we use Helveed's 2-point fee to spawn in a Firesworn Zealot, we can still sustain that indefinitely. We don't need a Troubadour anymore. And we don't really need a Tax Collector either. So I think what we do is we go Firesworn Scribe first. And we'll withhold the Tribute. Okay, they'll use their leader ability. To get their location, likely for another Griffin Witcher. So I think we know what they're trying to do. Probably a repeat of what they were doing in round 1. But now let's go Megascope to create another Firesworn Scribe. Then they'll go Reinforcements for, yes, another Griffin Witcher, as expected. Then we go with our other Firesworn Scribe. And we'll still withhold the tribute here. And as this one gets spawned in from the Megascope, we get some coins in the process. Their damage is going to start to add up a bit here. And the Veil is a little concerning because it does mean that that Griffin Witcher will not get locked at Adrenaline 3, which means that it will continue to deal 3 damage every turn. But now what we do is we go Alzur's Double Cross to get Helveed out here. And with Helveed, we press this button a whole lot. Because what it does is it spawns in a 2-power Firesworn Zealot. And because that Zealot is not a Witcher, it takes 2 damage as soon as it gets summoned in, destroying it. But, because we're spawning in a unit, we generate coins from each of our scribes, and since we have 3 scribes, we generate 3 coins every time we press this button. So on net, with every button press, we spend 2 coins, earn 3, gain 1 overall, and that means once we reach 9 coins, Jackpot kicks in and boosts our Firesworn Scribe in the process. And they'll use a leader ability charge here. And get Immortal Cavalry. And we lost a Firesworn Scribe. However, if we go Renew, and we get Igor, we can then use him to spawn in another one, and then get back to using Helveed. And same rules apply here. We press the button, and once we've capped out our coins, because we are still on net gaining coins every time we press this, we will gain 1 point every time we press it. This time it is, however, going to a, I believe, slightly different Firesworn Scribe, which is a little hard to tell when they're both covered by Helveed's name, but it does mean we'll get a pretty huge boost in the range row, and the only thing limiting the number of boosts we get is the speed at which we click this button and our turn timer, so we want to be quick. And we will try on our next turn to get something into our melee row to get boosted from every click. That way we are less susceptible to an Irden, although I believe they already used theirs in round 1, did they not? So that's one of the reasons why getting rid of that so early is so big. Okay, but of course if we lose Helveed, then we lose the combo, so we would rather that not happen. And with Amphibious Assault, what do they get here? Okay, it's just a point slam with the Kedwenny Cavalry. Question is, where's that damage gonna go? Very lucky. There's, what, a 1 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chance, 20% chance they got that, and they lucked out. So unfortunately, we no longer have infinite points. But if we go with Oneiromancy into an Eternal Fire Priest, let's put that in the melee row, and we can get that boosted when we spawn in Firesworn Scribe. So now Igor becomes their top target. And they have the Wolf School Trio. She is worth a lot. And my chief concern is that their last card is going to be Geralt of Rivia to remove this Firesworn Scribe. But now let's go with Necromancy. And actually, although Townsfolk would have been the go-to if we still had our infinite coin-generating combo, short-term point slam-wise, without that combo, Cleaver's Muscle is actually better. Which is odd, but I guess we'll use it for that reason. And then we'll do some more of this. So we have a big lead here. The key question is just, do they have a way of destroying either of these Firesworn Scribes? If they do, they win. If they don't, they don't. Quen makes me nervous. They didn't have one in hand. They may have one here. No, but it's just Berengar. And that is not enough, so we will take the win. Alright, so going up against vampires here. And they'll go first. Okay, so we have Cleaver in hand, and that is ideally the card we'd like to build around in round 1. Although we need to give him some armor, otherwise he's going to get destroyed by Trial of the Grasses. So let's get rid of one of our Witchers here. And Helveed is our other amazing card, but this is the combo we'd like to save for round 3. So maybe we get rid of a Scapegoat. And there is the Troubadour we're looking for. Okay, so we have the combo we need. Okay, so it's a Necarat, and of course, what with them being the Unseen Elder and using Blood Scent, you could probably guess they're going to be a Vampires deck. So let's begin with the Tax Collector, just to get some coins happening here. Okay, so they'll put some bleed on it, and then go with the Garcane. So I think we have a pretty good sense of what to expect here. They're going to deal a lot of bleed, and occasionally boost themselves in the process. But let's start setting up our combo. So let's play one of our Eternal Fire Priests. That'll be one of our cards that gets boosted when we start spawning in a bunch of units. Okay, they're going to apply more bleed. And play more vampires. So now let's use the Iron Falcon Troubadour to give armor to Cleaver. That way, even after he takes the 2 damage from Trial of the Grasses when we play him, he will still survive, so we can then use his deploy ability, and later his fee ability, and all that stuff. They also have Sunset Wanderers in their hand. And then it's Queen of the Night for more bleed. So I wish we had more Firesworn Scribes, then I'd play one of them here and we could potentially even create copies of it with Igor. But since we can't guarantee that we're going to get another one in round 3, let's save this. But we can still go with Igor here, and that will probably be our renewed target for a future round. So let's play him now. And unfortunately, we don't have quite enough coins to use his ability unless we use our leader ability. We may be able to use it here, but we'll save it for round 3 just in case, and we'll create an Eternal Fire Priest. And now that we have a few cards that'll get boosted when we spawn in additional units, next turn, we'll get Cleaver down. Okay, and it's a Fletter, so that's going to be one of their big point earners, and I suppose we did make it fairly easy for them to destroy Igor. But now we go Cleaver. And there we see the armor means that Cleaver will survive the damage from Trial of the Grasses, so that's key. Then we use Shakedown, and I suppose we might even use it on Tax Collector, just to keep it relatively safe. And we can use Cleaver's ability here. Generate some more points, and these Cleaver's Muscle cards are fantastic, because that shield means they also tank the damage from Trial of the Grasses and only experience the boost. And so, ideally, we would be able to have a Firesworn Scribe down there to make our coin generation more sustainable when we're doing this. But as I said, since we can't guarantee that we're going to get one in round 2 or round 3, that's why I'm deliberately saving it. There is Sunset Wanderers. We could have theoretically gone for it and then made that be our renewed target. It feels a little overkill, although you could potentially justify doing that. But I think at this stage, what we do is this might be the last turn that we play in round 1, because we can now use Eskel to summon out all of our Wolf School Witchers. And they will, of course, all get boosted, because they are, of course, all Witchers. And we do have enough coins that we could use Cleaver's ability now. And the tricky thing here is that with all of our bleeds, we might need a little more points if we are going to have any chance of winning in round 1. So it might be worth going with a leader ability charge here and just spending a bit more with Cleaver. Because there goes the bleed damage, but even after that, we still have a pretty sizable lead. And they will play, but I think regardless of how they fare here, we will probably still pass on our next turn. Okay, it's Oriana, and she is a very potent engine. They're playing her a little bit late, though. So if we pass now, we do still have the lead, but after all of this bleed damage kicks in, and after Oriana gets boosted at the end of their next turn, they probably will still win round 1 without needing to play anything else. But I think that's a sacrifice we need to make, because these other cards in our hand we're going to need to save. And yeah, there it is. The Oriana boost is sufficient. Okay, so they did play one more card than us in round 1, which means they may look to dry pass here, in which case we're going to want some throwaway cards, and Tax Collector is not a bad option in that case, giving us a little bit of coins and obviously enough points to win the round. Scapegoat is also a good coin slam, although because it will immediately get destroyed by Trial of the Grasses, if they dry pass, it can't be our only throwaway, but I think with Tax Collector we're probably fine. And they do dry pass. Okay, so in that case, we will definitely go with Tax Collector here, because it is enough points, and it does give us just a tiny bit of coins to carry over. Okay, so we drew into Oneiro, that's great. Freak Show, also great. We no longer need the Troubadour. And Townsfolk is awesome. Okay, so this is pretty great. We may not need the Scapegoat. We're rather low on coins at the moment, but when we play Helveed, we'll get the 4 profit there, and that may be all we need to get ourselves jump-started. So let's begin with the Firesworn Scribe. And that will be our primary coin generator. Oh, I don't like that, though. Alright, so unfortunately that may mean that we're going to need to use Necromancy to get that Scribe back. Or we could play the Scapegoat now just to get that chunk of coins right off the bat. Let's go that route. So again, because it's not a Witcher, it gets damaged by 2. By Trial of the Grasses, and because it only has 1 power, that means it immediately gets destroyed. And it is a good thing that we waited, because, well, they might have moved one of our cards with that Drowner, although that Drowner also gets destroyed from the 2 damage from Trial of the Grasses as a non-Witcher. So now let's go Necromancy, and use that to get our Firesworn Scribe back. And, I mean, we could pay the Tribute to make it a little bit tankier. We did earn a lot of coins recently, so you know, I think it's probably fine. Just make it a little bit on the safer end. Okay, and good thing that we did boost it, it seems. So now let's go Oneiromancy and get the other Firesworn Scribe out from our deck. And I'm not going to pay this tribute because I would like for us to have at least 5 coins so that when we use Renew and get Igor back, we can use Igor to spawn in another Firesworn Scribe. So let's withhold this tribute. Okay, and well, Feast of Blood, he is enough damage to destroy one of those Firesworn Scribes, which is unfortunate. That would be a big problem because we need to have at least 2 of them. However, as I said, with Renew, we can bring Igor back and use him to spawn in another. And we do have enough coins, so we don't even need to use his Insanity. Okay, ooh, not loving Geralt Professional. So we don't have enough coins to create another Firesworn Scribe, though we could use Igor's Insanity this time round. Though actually, if we do use Helveed now, we'll get the profit, and that means we can use Igor without having to use Insanity, so that means that even if they have another way of destroying a Firesworn Scribe, we can still create another one on our next turn with Igor. And they will, so good thing that we did that, because we will now need to use Igor, like so. And now what we do is we play the Eternal Fire Priest, and this is the combo we've been waiting for. Now that we have 2 coins generated every time we spawn a unit, we can spawn in units here with Grand Inquisitor Helveed, and those units will immediately get destroyed because they are not Witchers, and they only have 2 power, so that means they'll take 2 damage from Trial of the Grasses, except because we're generating 2 coins as quickly as we're spending 2 coins, that means we can do this as long as we would like. The only restriction is how quickly we can click this button and our turn timer. So the faster we go, the better. And we would, of course, like to have had additional scribes down here, in which case we would actually not just maintain our coins, but we would continue to increase our coins. We'd eventually reach 9, and with our leader ability, the scribes would get boosted as well. And that would eventually get us to the point where we'd have enough coins where we could use Igor to create another Firesworn Scribe. But of course, Townsfolk can also boost itself when we do this. So even though our priest got destroyed by Geralt, we are not done yet. So let's break you out. And same rules apply here. Spam this button as early and as often as possible. And this time, it is not the spawning of this unit that is giving us the points, it is the coins we are generating from spawning it. The coins we're generating, of course, are coming from the scribes, but the boosts are, of course, going on the townsfolk. And so we will see they have used several Geralts here and several sources of damage, so I would like to believe they are running out of control options here. They may still have an Earden. That would be perhaps the biggest threat to us right now. Again, if we had an additional scribe, we would be over-earning coins. That would mean that eventually those scribes would get boosted as well from our leader ability, in which case we would not just be having all of our points in one row. They would be in 2 separate rows, so we'd be much more Earden-proof, but that's not the case here. Okay, and well, Heatwave is unfortunate. Interesting, though, that they went for Helveed, not the Townsfolk. That would suggest that perhaps they do have either a Spores or an Earden to reset it. Our last card is Freak Show, which has a little bit of coins, and, I mean, it is enough that we could theoretically use Igor to create another Firesworn Scribe if we'd like. That's kind of too little too late at this point, so I think what we'd like to do is instead just use our coins to deal a little bit of damage with Freak Show. This is the other way that you can be Earden-proof, is what we did was primarily use all of our coins to generate boosts, but if we had more coins and got Freak Show down there earlier, we could use those coins to damage our cards, and even if we got reset, we would still win. But either way, they will forfeit because whatever that last card was, apparently it wasn't going to be able to stop us. Alright, so going up against Skellige here, and they'll go first. Okay, and so we have Cleaver, and that is probably the key card that we're going to want in round 1, but we're going to need to have a Troubadour to give it armor, otherwise Cleaver will get destroyed when we play him, and we can make that happen using Oneiromancy. We also have some coin generation with the Tax Collector, and that's useful, because we'd probably like to save our Scribes for round 3. Likewise with Helveed, we have a lot of cards here, in fact, that we would like to save, so that makes me a little nervous. We definitely do want to keep this round on the shorter side in that case. And of course, Longship will give them some damage. But let's at least start by generating some coins with the Tax Collector. And they'll go Bear Witcher Adept. So now let's use Oneiro to get a Troubadour to put some armor on Cleaver. Okay, then it's Bear Witcher Quartermaster, and they have a little bit of armor on that Adept, so that's who we'll target. Okay, now the question just becomes, do we go straight into Cleaver, or do we potentially put down a Firesworn Scribe first? If we were to do that, we'd probably prefer to go Operator to spawn in a Firesworn Scribe. That way, we still have a Firesworn Scribe in our hand for round 3 if needed. So I think we'd probably do that. Okay, then they'll go with Siri Dash. Now, it's a little late in the round to be doing that. They get Knickers out for their deck as well. So I'm thinking this may even be our last turn. We'll see how the points add up, of course, but let's go with Cleaver. Then we'll use Shakedown on him. Give him a little bit more of a boost and give us some more coins. Which means we can spawn in a few of these Cleaver's muscles, which are not enough for us to catch them, unless we were to use our leader ability, give ourselves more coins, so we can spawn in more Cleaver's muscles. Even then, however, it's still rather close. So I think what we do here is let's end our turn, and let's react to what they do here. If they decide not to play, then we can probably pass them. If they do play, then we may pass here and keep this round short, as we had initially planned to do. Because by doing that, we will deny them the card draw from Siri. So they do pass, and that means they will take the round 1 win. Okay, so we draw into round 2 of Oneiromancy. The Tax Collector, which may be useful for more coins, especially if they dry pass here, which after having played one more card than us in round 1, they might do. The Troubadour is pretty useless because we've already played Cleaver, so we don't need this anymore. Townsfolk is a key card for our round 3 combo. We would like to save it, however, if possible. So I think we stick with this, and our throwaway is Tax Collector. We hope that's all we need to play. If we do need to play more than that, then this could become a little problematic. Fortunately, they do dry pass. So that means, yes, definitely Tax Collector here. Gives us, of course, enough points to pass them, and just a little bit of additional coins for some carryover. So we'll take the round 2 win in that case. And now we have all of the key cards that we need for our combo. We drew into Alzur's Double Cross, which would have been a way to get Igor, but now that we have Igor, this is not really needed. Because at this stage, there's a bunch of things it could potentially give us, and that's too unpredictable. Eternal Fire Priest is good. We do have one already, but it generates points when we spawn units, and we're going to be doing a whole lot of that. So that sounds fine. So I think, in that case, we probably do stick with this. Unless we want to try to get another Firesworn Scribe. Okay, well, I got greedy. Okay, so let's start with a Firesworn Scribe here. Because what we need is to have at least 2 of these on the board. Ideally, even more than that if we can. Because that will give us the coin generation that we need. Ivo is unfortunate because that does mean they'll have some damage here. But let's go Megascope before this Firesworn Scribe potentially gets destroyed. And they will try to target that. And Brockvar Hunter will give them some additional damage, but we do have a plan here. Because now, if we go Igor, and we use our leader ability as well, suppose we'll give the little boost to that Firesworn Scribe. Now we can spawn in another Firesworn Scribe. And then this one will come from our Megascope. So now we have 3, and that is key, because it means we can now sustain coin generation. Yes, even after you lock Igor. Unfortunate, but that means that now we can play Grand Inquisitor Helveed And we can spam this button right here, because in doing so, we will spawn Firesworn Zealots, which are 2 power tokens, and because they are not wishers, that means they will take 2 damage from Trial of the Grasses whenever they come into the board, and so that means they will get destroyed, and we can then continue to just spawn in as many as we would like here, and don't need to worry about running out of board space. And we can continue to do this because although it costs us 2 coins, we are gaining 3 coins whenever we do it because we have 3 scribes, and because our leader ability gives us a point whenever we over-generate coins, which we are currently doing. You can't really see it because it's currently blocked by the text for Grand Inquisitor Helveed, but our scribe on the rightmost spot is getting boosted for every click. So that's why our point total is going up here, and it is only going to get bigger as we get additional cards down here like the Townsfolk and the Eternal Fire Priest, all of whom will get boosted by 1 whenever we do one of those combos as well. Okay, then Olgierd is not a huge deal. So now let's get Townsfolk down here. Let's put it in the other row. That way, as we get more cards that get boosted with every click, we have some that are doing that in the melee row, some in the range row, so that way, if they have, say, an Earden, they can't reset all of our big cards with just 1 card of their own. So they're going to have to pick. So our opponents may have disconnected here. They may have realized that we can quite literally score an infinite number of points. The only thing limiting our number of points is our turn timer. Okay, no, apparently we're back. So we'll keep on clicking and keep on generating points. And so, yes, we will just spam this button as much as we possibly can, because the more clicks we get, the more points we get. And again, we can sustain this because it costs us 2 coins to do this, but we generate 3 coins every time we do, so we can do it for the entirety of this round. And then on our next turn, we will either Necromancy into another Scribe, or Necromancy into... I don't know if we played any other Townsfolk in round 1. I think we'll go for the Scribe, because that will also generate 1 coin per click. Likewise with the Eternal Fire Priest. And so they will forfeit. And there you have it. Or run into some kind of issue? So not entirely sure what the cause of that was. But either way, as you saw, we were able to outscore one of the best decks in this event. So there's a look at a Syndicate deck for the new Trial of the Grasses seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to experiment with next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.